Welcome, everyone, to the Education Exchange. I'm your host, Jeremy Calles, Superintendent here at Tolleson Union High School District. And teeing off the conversation about La Jolla's A is our principal of La Jolla Community High School.
My name is Bill Sorensen, grateful principal of La Joya Community High School.
All right, so now I have to describe it for everyone because we have some listeners who only listen and they don't always see the video. But I have to describe the fact that you are proudly wearing your La Jolla A-rated high school shirt, and on the back of the shirt it says it's a great day to be an A-rated school. Did I have that right? Or, what exactly did it say on the back?
We have kind of a phrase that's been around long before me is it's a great day to be a Lobo. So it's a great day to be a Lobo at an A-rated school. And I would make a comment that you looked excellent in this shirt when you were at West Point High School celebrating them. So you wear it much better than me, but I want to make sure that if anybody's sees it, that we're repping.
Oh, I was happy to throw it on. In fact, I was so happy to throw it on that I kept wearing it all the way over to West Point High School with Brandy and got a good picture with her in it. So yes, very happy to be celebrating your A. Uh the first thing I wanna ask you is, when did it set in? Like, I know, for the months before letter grades being announced publicly, we had been looking at data. The data looked like, you were going to make it, that the school was going to make it, that all of the hard work from your staff and through your leadership, that it was all going to bear fruit. But at what moment did it set in that, like, we just did it? Just just took this school for the first time in its history to an A letter grade. Like, when did it all hit you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it is interesting how the data kind of trickles out. And this metric is for sure, but this metric may change. And then there's some things outside of your control that may be kind of moving some things around. So I would say, even though we knew officially before we had our staff celebration, I think seeing our staff break bread together, eat together, hang out and shoot the breeze, and just taking a big breath and just enjoying that moment as you're distributing T-shirts and as you're seeing the collegiality of people that have been working together for this goal. That's probably like when it really sunk into me. Yeah, that was probably the moment when just watching the staff enjoy our celebration was probably the moment that it hit me.
Now I could see you taking it all in. So to describe the scene for everyone, we're over there in the gym. Um, Killian is getting up on this ladder that looks way too tall, and I'm sitting here just thinking about the workman's comp claim that's coming. And he's getting up there so he can take a good picture of everyone because everybody is up in the stands. They're up there in the all around the A that you have, basically taped off onto the stands there for the nice A shot. And you're standing at the base of the ladder and kind of enjoying the view and looking at everybody and looking at that big A. Describe the feeling. What was the moment like?
Well, I'll give it up to Killian too. A shout out to him. He's also done some work with our theater, so I knew he was up for it, even though he was scared to get up there. So I appreciate him getting up there. It was important to us to make sure that all staff were a part of it. So we wanted to make sure to let every single person know who is a Lobo that they contributed. Whether you're feeding our students or whether you're cleaning our campus or whatever it is, it was important that they felt recognized. So in that gym with everyone sitting there, it made me think of kind of the legacy of all those human beings. And I was just talking to the PR staff about how we label that picture. I want that picture framed in the front office so that way anyone who walks through there can have pride knowing they were a part of that team that did accomplish some of it for the first time that we never had. And it does take everybody, and everyone deserves to enjoy when we hit those goals and enjoy to be celebrated. So it was just a really cool feeling seeing all the different groups of employees be able to sit there and be captured in La Jolla's history and be captured forever because records will be broken. There'll always be higher metrics, but the time you do it for the first time, no one can ever take that away from you. So no one will ever take that away from those staff members. Every single one of them accomplished something for the first time as a team. And that's kind of what I was thinking about as I was looking up in those stands and all those beautiful Lobos.
I absolutely agree with you that it takes everyone. It takes the whole village. Everybody's contribution is meaningful and helps move the mark. But there's always some of those key decisions, those key contributions. You know, it's kind of like when you watch the big game, right? And there's those plays that stand out of like that's part of like what led to that championship, that victory. What are some of those things for you? Like when you look at some of the decisions that have been made during your leadership over there, like what are some things that you put into place that your team has, put into place and worked hard towards that you feel are really making the difference, moving the needle for you?
God, that's a really good question. Like public education is so layered, and you make one decision and it has collateral effects on other decisions, and everything's connected. I would say it's more conceptual. I think we committed 3 or 4 years ago that our highest priority was learning. When we reevaluated our mission, vision, values, and we created that over a year and a half, something that stood out was we prioritized learning. So there are a lot of things, as a high school principal that you can focus on. Everything from behavior to academics in your AP courses to academics in your freshman level courses to credit recovery to safety to behavior to tardies, like everything. Um, so with the guiding coalition and our focus on the PLC process, student learning was our highest priority. And we make decisions that prioritize student learning. And when we're in leadership meeting, it's not just with administrators, right? Our literacy coach, our IB coordinator, our teacher mentor, our flex coach are there. So that way, if we do make decisions as administrators that aren't focused on learning, they bring us back to focus on the learning. And it's my belief that teacher leaders are the number one factor that moves schools if you're truly collaborating. If you're truly collaborating and you have teams of teachers, it's those individual teachers that are doing the work, that are pushing their colleagues, that are doing the very difficult work of focusing on student learning that I think is what continues to drive our academic performance up. Um, and it's those teachers, leaders, it's following the guides of the PLC process. I go to conference every year. I don't think I've learned it all. There's always something more to learn. And I know our teachers and our guiding coalition are as hungry because they're coming to me. I just sent 5 teachers to the RTI conference in Sacramento, and those were guiding coalition members that came to me and said, Bill, I want to learn more about this. And if you have adults saying, I want to learn more about this, then that means they want to use that information to help student learning. So I think student learning follows adult learning. So our decisions to focus on learning with adults and students, I think, has really given us a lot of positive metrics towards that A label.
I agree with that completely. When people care about developing themselves, they're definitely going to be in a better position to develop our young minds that we have on the campuses. But to that effect, I want to offer an outside opinion on the observations of what I've seen at the campus, and then lead that to a question. But for me, it's the fact of caring, right? When people know that you care, whether it's your teachers knowing that you care about their results, their performance, them as a person, that translates to them caring about the students, you personally caring about the students, and some of the things I've seen at the campus. Every time I'm at the campus and I get to walk the campus with you, without fail, you are pounding fists with students. You know them by name. You know some of their hobbies, activities. You know questions to ask them. You know who their siblings are. You're doing that organically throughout the campus. They're coming up to you. You're doing the same with your staff, with all of your teachers and your rest of your staff, whether it's security, everyone else that's on campus. You're connecting with everyone there, and there is this positive vibe that is on the campus that long before I saw the metrics, I was letting the team know La Jolla is going to be the next one. I can tell because I feel the energy, and they're rowing the boat together in the same direction. Like they're gonna get there. And one of the other things that I observed on the campus that I did want to ask the question about is when I go into the principal's conference room, and it's not just me who notices this. Board members notice this. A lot of us, have conversations about this. But you keep a board, and there is a competition going amongst the administration about how often you are getting into the classrooms, observing the classes, connecting with teachers and students. Like, talk to me about how did that come together? What was the vision on that?
Great questions. I first want to give a shout out to the admin team that I'm working with. They are just as involved and just as visible. I learned a long time ago as a leader, if people see you and know who you are and you're out there, that has immeasurable benefit, right? When they can see you and you can call somebody, people like to hear their name, right? So when kids are surprised when you call their name and they don't know, that just adds to that feel of community and caring, which you said. I wouldn't say like for the last 10 years, I've always set a personal classroom goal because early on in my administration, I realized I was not getting classrooms because of just all of the things that can occupy your time. So I had set those goals, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to do this as an admin team, and I decided to do it as an admin team, and every administrator was up for it, and it's continued to grow. So every week, every Friday morning, we have our admin leadership team. The very first thing that we report out is the number of classrooms we've been in. Um, Administrators report out if it was a formal observation or just a pop in. In order for it to count, you have to give feedback because that was something that came to me after like year 1 or 2. Teachers like, Bill, you're getting in classrooms, but I don't know what you're seeing. What are you seeing? So the element of feedback to teachers was really, I think, a big step up for our administrators. I think we were in like 1,200 classrooms last year. I think our goal, I have yet to hit my goal, so I lowered it this year and I'm still like not 50% there, but I think we'll be around 1,500 classrooms, which means every time a kid and teacher can see you, right, outside of your office, that's a good view for kids to have, right? I was in a ceramics classroom yesterday looking at the amazing work these kids are doing. And adolescents get a bad rap. You know, you talk to adults and you say, I work with teenagers. Oh my gosh. I go, no, adult behavior is like way more crazy now than kid behavior. So getting out, getting in classrooms, having kids ask who you are or having kids ask who an assistant principal is and meeting them and doing that just contributes to that feeling of tribe and that feeling of community and that feeling of pack. So it was something that I had done as an individual. It's something that we iterate every year. So next year, we'll probably add a little tweak here and there as we get feedback from staff and as the amazing leaders that carry me every day give me feedback on how to advance it. But it's important to make it visible. It's important to do it every single week. It's important to prioritize it because as a leader, if you don't prioritize it, then it won't happen. So getting in classrooms does add to that caring and that relationship piece that is critical to student learning.
Well, and it's a very lofty goal to put it in more context for some of our listeners. I mean, when you're talking about 1,500 classrooms in a 180-day school year, yeah, if every day was cut the same, doing 8 classrooms a day to be able to get there seems pretty reasonable. But then when you have those early release days, or you have days when there's meetings here at the district office and you got to be here for principals meeting half the day, now finding that hour that it takes to get into 8 classrooms, it's like, okay, well, I didn't get to any classrooms yesterday. Now I got to get 2 hours blocked off today so I can make up for missing yesterday. Like it is a very lofty goal. So yeah, I commend you for having it, but I completely understand why there's difficulty in getting to that high number every year. And that's probably why you beat me on the district 5K all the time. It's because you're walking so many classrooms, you're in much better shape. I gotta get out there and walk classrooms with you. So the A is a magnificent accomplishment. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of work that has to continue to happen to maintain that A, because the last thing that you would ever want to see happen is any kind of backslide. And it's more than just maintaining, because it is now a different group of students that is moving on to graduation, that is taking the ACT. What are some of the strategies you're putting in place to make sure that that A never goes away?
Well, we have two goals this year, and we generally have two goals. And one of those goals is a high stakes assessment goal. So every team creates a high stakes assessment goal, and we revisit that quarterly. Many of our teams focus on ACT, but many of our teams are focusing on SEALs. Many of our teams are focusing on elements of the CCRI. So I prefer, and I haven't always done this in my career, I prefer to allow teams some autonomy to make decisions as long as they're aligned with our goal. So we know we want to be an A. So if you can create goals that are meaningful to your team, that are still aligned to hitting those metrics of being an A, we're going to continue that work. And I would say the biggest thing on my mind is grad rate, because you bring up a good point, right? They're different kids. And grad rate is really kind of a tricky formula in regard to we accept all kids, and we accepted a number of seniors that are credit deficient. We will love you, we will take you. But those students, one or two students can impact your numbers by 5, 10%. So that's something that's key on my mind in regard to how we welcome those upperclassmen who are credit deficient to put them in a position to succeed, because grad rate is the most variable metric and the most important metric just in regard to numbers, not in regard to student learning, but in regard to numbers. So the combination of focusing on those high stakes assessment goals, the continued advancement of our guiding coalition and the PLC process as we continue to do that work, because that is not done. We have a lot to do. And then also being very intentional with our seniors who may have not had success at other schools. And many of those seniors, and this is just anecdotal, talk to me and say, hey, mister, like, you guys really care and your teachers are really trying. And this is not like I've had before. And not, we don't have 100%. We really want to get to 90% graduate. We're really close, I think, this year. So that's kind of the mark that we want to hit as a school. But there are a lot of variables that are kind of not under our control sometimes that we need to make sure that we're on top of.
And living in an area that is, growing so quickly with the Alomar development coming through the southern, piece of your boundary, absolutely you're getting new move-ins all the time. So maintaining the A is already a pretty lofty goal itself. But looking beyond that, is there anything that you have your eyes on beyond that now? Now that you've made it to the A, anything else that you're looking at and you're like, we want to go after that next?
Yeah, I would say securing another A rating. I think we're really close to deciding to go for A plus School of Excellence. Kind of, I went on a visit before Thanksgiving break to kind of see what that process looked like. I brought it to the staff and kind of did some survey information to kind of get their input on that. But I think next year we'll start the application for the following year to be A plus School of Excellence. Next year will be our first year with IB. The following year we'll have the MYP and DP, and we feel that that IB International Baccalaureate will help us with that A plus School of Excellence. And then being a model PLC school. So through Solution Tree, you can also get an accolade that's called a model PLC school, and that's something that I think we do really well, in large part due to people like Catherine Elsick, Andrew Heitens, and our teacher leaders that are doing that work. So model PLC school, A plus School of Excellence, maintaining our A rating, and then ensuring that we are doing IB the right way are really the biggest things on my mind as I look at the future of La Jolla.
Well, those are some really big things, and put it into context for some of our listeners. When you talked about, CCRI, our College Career Readiness Index, obviously you guys are looking at the whole student, everything that makes a student successful after high school, not just being able to be successful on the test, but all the other aspects of being successful after high school. The professional learning community with the PLCs. So all of those goals are all great goals, and the fact that you're doing all of this simultaneously. So you're maintaining the A, you're going after new accolades with the A plus, and you're launching the IB program, the International Baccalaureate, which is, a very significant program. It'll also get you aligned with one of our elementary partner districts over there at Lakin. So a lot of great things coming over there for the Lobos. Any final words for our future Lobos out there as they're going to come over there and be a part of all of your future success?
Yeah, as I tell every eighth grade that I visit, I can tell you two things. If you come to La Jolla, you will be loved and you will belong. So you will find your tribe here and you are welcome here. It is your school, not my school, not anyone else. It is your school. So when you come, we will care for you and you will love it.
Well, there is no pack like the Lobo pack, so always growing strong. We appreciate you coming on and sharing that with our listeners here today, Bill. And to our listeners, we appreciate you for tuning in once again to the Education Exchange, where we aim to enlighten our parents and empower our students. We're looking forward to seeing you again next time.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of the Education Exchange. Have a question or want to be a guest on our podcast? Email podcast@tuhsd.org for more information. Missed an episode? Catch all seasons of the Education Exchange on your favorite streaming platforms or at www.tuhsd.org/podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for another episode of The Education Exchange.